Hello everyone, welcome to the Fire Artisan channel. Today we're going to be playing some Cavalcade Mono Red. The key card of course being this one. So we just have a lot of 1/1s in the deck and we just want to trigger this enchantment as much as possible to get in for extra damage. And this enchantment coupled with Torbran, who I have as a 4-off in this deck, just tends to lead to a lot of late game damage, and we can have a sudden swing for something like 10, 12 damage. That's very hard for our opponents to prevent. We can kind of go over their heads with it. So, or over the heads of their creatures, really. So, I've been having some success with this deck on the ladder, and I think it's a pretty good matchup for some of the slower decks out there. Mid-range creature decks, as always, are a real challenge for Mono Red, but that's why we have 4 Lava Coils in the sideboard, as well as an Experimental Frenzy, which can be pretty effective against other creatures' decks, especially if there's kind of a stalemate on the board. So, yeah, we're going to go for it here. Going to jump into a best of 3. Here we go. So I just want to take a second to thank all the people who have been supporting my channel. It means a lot. People commenting, subscribing. I do really appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun to to respond to comments. And all right. So I'm not going to keep this. Yeah, this is pretty strong. Interesting what to put back here. Usually when I have it all like this, got my 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and an Embercleave. Yeah, usually when I kind of have it all like this, I just put back Light Up the Stage, because even though it's great at finding extra cards, it doesn't really do anything. So, if you kind of have all the key cards, then you don't need it to find them with Light Up the Stage. So, that's the reasoning for putting that one away. Alright, well, having drawn the second Embercleave, maybe we're having second thoughts about putting away Light Up the Stage. I'll definitely be a little bit disappointed if we miss our next land drop here. Wow, okay. The nice thing with these enchantments is that they tend to never really get answered. Of course, our creatures can get answered. My best guess is that this is a Temur Reclamation deck here. But yeah, they're very unlikely to answer our enchantments. So, anytime we trigger it, bringing an extra 2 damage, we trigger the enchantments, that is. Of course, now I'm regretting putting away Light Up the Stage, but what can you do, right? I mean, the cool thing with this deck is that it does have such a low curve that it can operate on having very few lands, but we generally need at least 3, and, okay. Another bad draw. I mean, not that Steamkin isn't a powerful card, but we desperately, desperately want to draw a mountain. Now, some of these... Okay. We've been disputed. Some of these Reclamation decks skimp a little bit on board clearing, so if all they do have is spot removal, that is pretty good for us. Okay, so now I'm just considering whether to play Anax before combat, kind of the classic question. If they have a Scorching Dragonfire in their hand, or less likely, but still possible, they were planning to do an explosion on my Dodger, The main thing is I don't want their Scorching Dragonfire to hit my Anax. I think I'm going to attack before I let them in on what we're doing here. Looks like they don't have more removal in their hand. They may go ahead and counter this Anax, which isn't great, but they're going to have a hard time beating our deck with counter magic alone. And it doesn't seem like they have a whole lot going on. I'm just going to play this land so that we can activate the castle. And they're getting pretty low on life here. Now we are playing with shocks, so any shock off the top really, any further triggers on these cavalcades should lock this one up for us. And it seems like they're having a hard time finding action in their hand. That said, this could conceivably still go their way, so I'm interested to see what happens. Alright, well there's a Storm Wrath on our 1/1. Looks like we can search for a 1/1 haste here. And we found it. They haven't conceded, so they must have some more spot removal here. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay. Alright, great game for us. Obviously exactly what we're trying to do there. Alrighty. So one thing that these Temur decks don't have access to is life gain, so we don't need to worry about bringing the Tibalts in. I think I'm very likely to bring the Chandras in here, especially since we're on the draw. I'm going to go 1 down on Embercleave. And the Shocks don't really have great targets in this matchup. I'm going to bring the Chandras in. I guess the only thing I'm thinking is how we're going to deal with their Shark tokens. So maybe I should just bring in a Lava Coil, but the nice thing with Shock is that it's more versatile. So I might just bring 2 Shocks back in. If all goes well for us, they're not really gonna ever have enough mana to just be dropping 4/4 Sharks. Or we just won't need to worry about them. I'm going to kind of go full aggro here, bring in 1 Shock, bring the Embercleave back in. There's not a whole lot we need to do in terms of sideboarding for this matchup, just because this is exactly the kind of matchup that our deck is built for. We really punish some of these slower decks if all goes well for us. And this is an excellent hand. 2 Fervent Champions of Steamkin. I mean, Steamkin is a little slow in this matchup. There's, if you have other 2-drop creature options, then there's obviously a case for just boarding out the Steamkins in this type of matchup, but we're not playing with robbers or anything like that, so I'm pretty reluctant to board out our threats. I basically kept all the threats in the deck for this match. Interesting decision point here as to, I think I'm going to double spell this turn. Got 3 options, right? Considering Storm's Wrath can't come until turn 4, I think I am inclined to double spell here and just put a lot of pressure on them. And it looks like we won't get that Fervent Champion combo, but I would definitely rather that happen to a champion than a Steamkin. Just because that's still not really a great trade for them. Got a Torbrand down. I think I want to get the enchantment down here, just to get the extra damage in. Now, it is a shame that we didn't have an Anax to play on our third turn, because I think they're very likely to just Storm's Wrath next turn. So, that would definitely set us back. Then again, they can't... Looks like they're not... Yeah, it looks like they're not taking that route here. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. If I play Torbrand and they just do nothing, then they're very nearly dead. They're going to take 12 damage. Alternatively, I could just... Am I just assuming they're holding up counter magic here? That seems like a little bit of a crazy assumption, because I would kind of expect them to board that out. I think I like playing the Torbrand here, because it'll kind of be better to recover with a double Steamkin play than if I play the two Steamkins here and then they Storm's Wrath me, and then I just put a Torbrand down. So I'm going to go for that line. Also, I mean, this deck kind of... Alright, well this is just a nightmare for them, because it looks like they're going to be taking Torbrand damage here, so I'm very glad I played him. They're going to... Okay. Okay. They brought the Ambusher in, so now we know we're going to bring in some Lava Coils for the next game. I should have thought to do that. They generally do board that way. I think they're also likely to have just taken out some of their Wilderness Reclamations and become more of a mid-range creature deck, which is kind of our arch nemesis. But yeah, they're still going to be in a lot of trouble if they can't remove our big threats, namely Torbrand. Alright. Got an Anax down. Yeah, this is kind of interesting because yeah, this is pretty tough. This is pretty tough. Because if the unknown card is just another Nightpack Ambusher, then we could lose everything in this attack. So one thing I could do is just leave up the castle, make this attack, leave up the castle. That way if they play another Nightpack Ambusher, I don't completely get blown out because I can activate the castle and everything will trade. I think I like attacking here. Okay. So they're at 1 life. Interesting. It looks like they didn't find the action they needed. Very precarious life total against mono red here. We are going to lose our Torbrand, but if this Anax lands, it's going to make it very difficult for them to stabilize here. So I'm willing to lose the Torbrand to win the game. Interesting they wouldn't hit the Anax with that. They must have an answer, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and attack just to... I'd like them to show me the answer. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't play anything before combat. So this is going to be a forced block here. This totally works out for us, though. We're going to get 2 Satyr tokens. And they better have good cards in hand here. Oh, okay. Well, that is a good card. And I'm sure they'll be able to escape it. Wow. Alright, they may be coming back here. That's a big play. They're going to go up to 7. And I haven't seen my Tybalts. Where are you? We need you now more than ever. Yeah. Losing this game would be such a disappointment. Okay, so the attack here, 2 triggers, down to 5, block, down to 3. Assuming I activate the castle. Don't know if I love that. I think I'm just going to play my Steamkins this turn. Wow. I think that's good game. That's absolutely devastating. They were sitting on a really good card there, or they just drew it, but wow, Chandra. Nothing we can flash. So we attack for 4 here, and then they just ram into her next turn. There may have been a case for just not playing her, because now we've showed them the card, and they might decide to sideboard appropriately. Chandra's really powerful though. Like if we had a Torbrand down, then they would be very nearly dead. I can't believe this. We had them down to 1 stabilized. That is so disappointing. This is interesting. I mean, considering how they boarded out the Wilderness Reclamations, I wonder if I do just put the Frenzy back in this deck. They don't have any way of scrying with their land still, so besides drawing with Uro. Okay. Okay. I think this will do it here. This is an attack for 14, jump blocking with the Anax. I'm gonna call it. All right, so I've got a pretty good idea of what we're doing here. Oh, I didn't even have the Tybalts in. Okay. It is tough to just bring in the Tybalts for Uro, but I am going to do that. Because they basically won that game with that alone. Just making some small adjustments here. I'm going to go a little bit down on the Steamkins, a little bit higher on the Chandras. I like my aggressive cards here. It is a lot of 3-drops, but we just have to make sure we get there. What can I say? I'm going to bring in the Lava Coils. I'm going to go to 2 Chandras, 3 Lava Coils. Oh, missing 1. Okay. Do I just want 4 Lava Coils? I'm a little reluctant to bring in all 4 Lava Coils. No, I'll bring them in. Usually I'll just bring in like 2 or 3 on the play, because Lava Coiling is kind of plan B when we're just supposed to be winning the game. Okay. I will not keep this hand. Okay. This is much better. Now this is a little bit tricky. We're on the play. I think I'm actually going to do this. So we're only playing with 20 lands, so we're very likely to draw more action here. And I put away the champion just because the Scorch Spitters guarantee more damage and they work better with Torbran. So basically looking to draw into an Anax or a Cavalcade. That's land. I didn't bring in the Frenzy here, so I'm going to keep an eye on that too. Against this type of deck, I don't normally bring in the Frenzy, just because it tends to be very unrealistic that you'll be able to just keep up with a very powerful deck like this, even with Experimental Frenzy down. We don't want to draw it. Want to draw pretty much Anax. Another land. Man. Alright, well, I'll be happy if we can get this attack in. Wow. Okay. That is huge. Now they're kind of clear the border bust. Torbran is very annoying for their deck because they don't tend to play with a lot of cards that actually deal 4 damage to anything. And that's an Embercleave. Well, this is very exciting. We're going to get to attack here. Oh my god. I think this is it. This is it. We won. Yes. Oh, this is the best. It doesn't matter who they block here, because, I mean, it would if we didn't have Embercleave, but we do, so they're gonna think here, but yeah. We'll just go ahead and equip the Embercleave to whoever they decide not to block. Looks like they're gonna go with Scorch Spitter. I think they'll probably concede when they see Embercleave here. All right, well, that was thrilling. Now look up a tier here. Yes. All right, this deck has been excellent for me. I have not lost with it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and encourage you all to play with it. The last thing I'll say remember to subscribe. I really appreciate your support. I will say that. If you like this video, please subscribe. But I'm also going to say, play this deck on the ladder. And the only thing you might want to consider, well, change anything in my build, just tweak it, you know, play the cards that you want to play. One interesting card that I want to mention, though, is Forbidden Friendship, which, if you don't know, is a 2-drop sorcery that creates 2 1/1s, one of which has haste. So it's obviously excellent with this style of deck. But the reason, basically the main reason I'm not playing with it is it doesn't add devotion to the board for Anax, and you know, and therefore, because you're creating tokens, it also doesn't trigger Anax's. It basically doesn't have good chemistry with Anax. It doesn't. Those tokens don't create satyrs when they die. That said, it is a really powerful 2-drop. I've seen a lot of people playing with it in this style of deck. It may even be crazy not to play with it, considering how few good 2-drops there are that we're playing. So I would encourage you to experiment with that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I've had a great time today, and I'm just going to keep posting videos every day. So have a good one.